On today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, Stephanie Mitchell from Gigi's and Docs is going to share with you her story, how in 18 months she went from stressed out and overworked retail shopkeeper to the CEO of a thriving retail fashion business. Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, where I, Selena Knight, share strategies, interview retail revolutionaries, and delve into the minds of e-commerce experts to help you grow a profitable, independent retail or e-commerce business. If you're stuck in a rut, or if you feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've overachieved all of the things that you've set out to and are wondering what to do next, or how do I even make this better? I know that you're going to love today's episode. If you're stuck in a rut, feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've achieved all of the things that you set out to and are wondering, what next? Or how do I even make this better? Then I know that you're going to love today's episode. Hey there, thanks so much for joining me on today's episode. I have to say, I seriously freaking love today's guest. She is so amazing, and she's just a true testament to if you take the right action, if you focus, if you take the right action, you put the effort into the right places in your business, you can see some amazing results. Stephanie Mitchell is the CEO of retail business Gigi's and Docs, and she's going to share warts and all today, some of the trials, the tribulations, and most importantly, the successes that she has seen in her business since she stepped up into the role of retail CEO just 18 months ago. Now, I should know better by now, but I did stop recording after we'd finished the conversation. And of course, we talked a bit more. And some of the things that Stephanie revealed to me, which I wish she would have told you in the episode, but because I'd stopped recording, I'm going to share with you now. One of the biggest revelations was that she took the word small out of her vocabulary. So she doesn't say small business anymore. And one of the results from that was that when we recorded this just last week, she was just $10,000 off hitting the same revenue that she'd made last year. And that is before Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and the whole of Christmas spending comes along. But what I really love about this episode is Steph shows you that if you have that drive and determination and actually put it to good use, if you work your butt off in the right places without wearing yourself into the ground, and if you utilize the people in your team, such fantastic results can be seen. And like I said, all of the things that she's accomplished, and she's going to tell you about them, you'll be amazed at what she's accomplished, have happened in just the last 18 months. And Stephanie is one of our most staunch advocates for Scale Your Store because she knows that it works. In fact, she actually tells all of her friends that this course should be a must for anybody who is opening a retail or e-commerce store. So with that in mind, I just wanted to let you know before we jump into today's episode that I have just dropped video 3 in the brand new Retail Breakthrough series. It is only available for another week. It's a 4-part video series that will give you the blueprint to creating a profitable retail and e-commerce store, and it is completely free and available for the next 7 days. You can register for that over at selenaknight.com/breakthrough. And just a heads up that I will be opening the doors to Scale Your Store next week. Of course, I'll give you all the information about that on next week's podcast. But now let's jump into today's episode with Stephanie Mitchell, the CEO of retail business Gigi's and Docs. And remember to head over to selenaknight.com/breakthrough to get your all access pass to the Retail Breakthrough series. Hey there, and welcome to today's episode. I absolutely freaking love this lady who you guys are going to meet today. You know, sometimes you just meet like a superstar, the person who does all the things, they take all the right actions, and they get results. Well, this is Stephanie. Stephanie Mitchell is the owner of a fashion store in I'm going to call it a small town because it's only 7,000 people in... Which one of the Carolinas are you in? I always get them confused.
South Carolina.
South Carolina. And you have gone on to do some amazing things in just 18 months. And I want to share your story because you haven't done anything that the people listening can't do. Like, you've just taken the information, you've put it in place. So I'd love it if you could share your story here today. So welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Hi, I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. We were just catching up and you were telling me all the fantastic things. I'm like, wait, we have to start the episode first. So uh, tell us about Gigi and Docs, and then maybe you could tell us what you were doing before you opened the store, because this is not your first rodeo, not your first career rodeo.
No, before I opened Gigi's and Docs, I was a nurse and I married a doctor, and he got upset because I didn't have as much time to vacation as he did. And he said, okay, let's you turn in your notice and retire, whatever, so we can travel more. So I did that, and I did the, stay at home mom kind of thing for about a year, and I was done. That was all I could do. I'm like, I need to get out and do things. I love my family, but I cannot stay at home. And so we moved to a different city, and I just didn't know anybody. There was an opening for someone wanting booth rental, basically, is what it was, to rent out part of the store as a retail place. And I'm like, oh, let me do that so I can meet some friends and just have some kind of life here and get to know people. Little did I know how much work that actually was going to be. So my meeting of friends turned into a full-time career, and just wait until you hear all the things that has blossomed into since then. I would not have thought that I would have been doing this. Yeah, you know me, I'm outspoken, I'm a little boisterous sometimes and full of myself, but when it comes down to it, I get the job done, and I'm very passionate about the things that I choose to invest my time in.
So why a fashion store?
Well, one, the return on investment is good if you manage it right. But was at one time in my life, I was very, very overweight. Then I became a very, very thin person. And everywhere I was looking, I'm like, oh my God, that's a cute outfit. Those are nice shoes. That's a nice bag. And I'm like, I became a fashionista like overnight. So I just have a passion for that. And it's not just the fashion part of it, it's also the serving the community and getting to know people. And in a small town, like you said, 7,000, you have to know your customers. And so that was the fun and engaging part for me. But fashion is fun.
So tell me, like when you first started, what was your time spent doing, and how were you feeling, and how did your husband react to this new business?
I was spending every waking hour of every day trying to figure out ways to grow my business, where to find vendors, because I was so green. I didn't even know where to look for things to sell. I didn't know there was a big market in Atlanta, which is not that far away from me. But I spent way more than 40 hours, probably an easy 80 hours a week between the store and at home doing research and things, just trying to build the business up.
And how did your husband deal with that, considering you're supposed to be a somewhat retired wife who is supposed to vacation?
Well, we stopped taking vacations then. Prior to that, we were going somewhere every quarter and, taking a cruise or going on a long trip every quarter, but we didn't have time for vacations. But he wasn't upset about it because he saw that I'm not the stay at home kind of mom, and I need something to have passion in my life. And so he supported me with that. He's like, if you want to do this, we're going to do it. And I'm like, but it's going to take a while to build up. He's like, I'm with you. Let's just roll.
Oh, that's so good. I mean, having a supportive partner, I'm lucky I have a supportive partner as well, but I know for a lot of people who are listening, they don't have that. And there is this pressure right at the beginning to be making money straight away. And look, sometimes that can happen, but like you said, if you don't have the knowledge and the skills and someone to even ask those questions, then you're spending twice as long just even trying to find the answers to stuff that someone else knows the shortcut to.
Right. I told him initially when I went into the business that I was pretty certain for the first 5 years it would not be profitable. And he said he was fine with that. Well, here I am, type A personality. When I get into it and I want everything to be perfect, after the first 2 years, I'm like, dang, I am losing a lot of money and not really making what I wanted to make. And that is at the point where I said, I got to do something about this. He's like, how many years you been in it? I'm like, 2. He's like, we said you had 5, but that ain't good enough for me. I got to get moving.
Tell me then,
So,
why did you pick, before you go to the next bit, why did you think it would take 5 years to become profitable? Was that just a number you pulled out of your backside?
no, I think that in my research, looking at different businesses, most people say 5 to 7 years to become profitable. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's
Well,
just what I
you
had
do know
heard.
if that is true because you.
Well, because if you work your butt off, it happens sooner. And if you take the time to learn what you don't know and go to the people that have already learned things instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, you can be profitable very soon.
Did you, what was, I guess the question that I always think of is when I remember the first realization you ever had, and I'll let you tell the story, but it was this moment where you realized it actually wasn't anything to do with you. So what was it about Scale Your Store that you decided this was the thing that you needed to do? And then I would love it if you could tell that story. I think it was the first or second live coaching call that we had where you tell the story. You tell the story.
All right, you may have to remind me because I've been through a lot in 18 months.
So I think that's
But
really important to remember. It is just 18 months since you did Scale Your Store to which you're going to tell us in a minute, where you are right now, which is just phenomenal.
yeah. Well, I decided to do Scale Your Store because I want to say I started it in January one year. You opened it up and
Yeah,
we started it in
February, I think.
January
End of January, February.
because I just felt like I was floundering. I didn't know which direction to head in. Yes, I thought I was making money because money was in the cash register. I was able to pay the bills. But when I put all the numbers down on the paper and went through Scale Your Store, it was horrid. I was terrified. But I wanted to do it because I knew there had to be some easier way than the way I was going about it to learn, okay, how do you make sure that you're profitable at this business? So that's why I chose to do Scale Your Store. And I looked at a lot of, I told you this, I looked at a lot of things online. There's a gazillion business coaches out there. Every other pop-up ad on Facebook is a business coach, but because I'm of a certain personality, I look for someone that was very professional, and I can't do the laughy, huggy, silly kind of stuff. I'm get your nose in the business and get it done kind of person. So that is one reason I was attracted to your style, because you are no bullshit, must I say.
I reckon when I first met you, you would never have said that word, but now that we hang out, you're okay saying that word to me. Because I remember the first time you said the word damn and you're like, oh, excuse my language.
Yes, the Southern girl in me.
So I remember, you obviously don't remember, but I remember pivotal moments of other people's lives. And I remember you were on this coaching call and I can almost remember word for word. You said something like, oh my God, Sal, it's not me, it's my customers. I thought that the reason I wasn't profitable was because of the Walmart that was 5 miles down out of town. But that's not the reason at all. The reason is my customers. And you're just like, it's
Right.
like a light bulb went off.
Right, because I didn't know you needed to know who your customer was. I remember when you asked me, okay, what's your ideal customer? And everybody that owns a shop in general thinks it's them. And sometimes it may be, but most of the time it is not. And that was my case. I was thinking I was serving 18 and up, and it really was not. And the people in this town some of the people in this town like to get everything as inexpensively as they can. And I was trying to get them to shop in my store. Well, those aren't the customers that I needed to market to. And after we went through some coaching, that's what I realized. I don't need everybody to be my customer. I need to focus on who I want as my customer and make sure I'm marketing straight to them.
And how has your product mix changed from like what you were selling then to what you're selling now?
Okay, so I tried to do everything for everybody. I was from baby up to grandma, and now I do not. I have two main age focus groups from about 27 to 35, and then I'd say from about 40 to 55. That is all we focused on. We have cleared out the majority of our gift things. We have cleared out all of our baby stuff. We don't do tween anymore. Girl, you just like them J months for me. That's not a J month for ho is home. I can't make no money in the J month. That J month means clean the junk out of your store. Do what you got to move it. That's what a J month means for me. And we have done a lot of that this year. So, yeah, it's just focusing, not wanting to be the cheapest place in town, because I'm not. I'm probably the most expensive place in town. But my shop is nice, and the ladies know when they come in, they're going to get catered to. They have, I have my dressing rooms. You don't even know this. I redid my dressing rooms, and each one has a name now. Mm-hmm. So when I fix everybody, I'm helping them with their choices and things, I'll say, I'm going to put you in the peacock room, so they know exactly which room to go to. So it's just that special touch, of being, even though we're small, there's money to be made here. So it's just knowing who your customers are and being able to cater to them. And that's what I didn't have a clue about.
I think that is hilarious. If I could, I feel like we need to go and find the sound bites from those first coaching calls, because you said the exact opposite. You said, there's no money in this town and people don't want to spend. To now, we're highly profitable and there is money.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, just looking at the numbers tonight before we came on here, I called my store manager and I'm like, okay, I have been asking you all week. This is the Sal coming out in me. I've been asking you all week for these numbers. Let's get a quick run through now. So just before we came on, I mean, it's about knowing your numbers, knowing who you're marketing to. And yeah, you do have to know what your competition is doing, but you don't have to buy into what they're doing. And for me, I'm not worried about what they're doing, because, if they want to market to the 18 to 20-year-olds who don't have any money and have to beg mom and daddy for their money, then that's their business. But that is not my client.
So how do you think you have changed from 18 months ago to what and who you are now?
Well, it used to just be about pleasing the people in town, having a good time and having fun. And now, my store manager will attest to this, it is all about the numbers. What are we doing today? What can we do to push that extra $200 so we meet our goal for this month? The last 2 days of the month, what are y'all doing? That's how I've changed. I mean, I look at things very differently, and I really don't see, I like to promote community over competition, of course, but in the South, all the ladies don't like to play like that. So you play with who you can and you go on about your business. I've always said before, I don't know if I said this to you or not, but you can either rise with me or you can hang behind. I don't care.
So you said now that you've got a store manager. You didn't have one of those 18 months ago. How has your organizational hierarchy changed in that 18 months?
I was doing everything when I first started doing Scale Your Store. Everything. It was awful. I don't know how I did it, but I have a store manager now. I have a marketing person, and I have a sales clerk. And during the holidays, then I bring in additional part-time people. But I used your advice, and I made sure that when we hired people, we didn't just accept warm bodies. I have, anytime there's a job opening at my store, it's funny, but it's not funny. I have lots and lots of applicants to choose from. It's like Gigi's and Doc's is the place to work in this city. So I never have a problem picking good staff now, because our standards are high, and everybody wants to be a part of what we're doing, because it's not just that we are the clothing store in town. We're also a symbol for the town, for the revitalization on Main Street, because we remodeled our store, and me and one other guy, we always are going back and forth. My store looks the best. I'm like, no, mine looks the best. You just followed behind me, but whatever you think.
I feel like yours is the best because Elizabeth and I actually helped you remodel that stuff.
That's right.
Actually.
That's right. Yes, it was awful. And when people come in now and they've been there years before when it was another store, they're just like, this is not the same place. I'm like, no, it's not the same place.
No. And so do you think that now that you are very much more, you're the CEO of your business now, like I think you can quite
right.
happily say that. Do you think that whole vibe that you have, I guess, that you have invoked has changed the way that people see you, your staff, your customers, your peers? Because I always could see that in you. And I know that it took a little bit of warming up for you to see that you are a true leader. And a lot of things have come out of that since you've stepped up.
That's true. Yes, my staff, that we have this running joke that everybody's scared of me because I'm really, really scary. But when it comes down to the numbers, I'm not scary, but I'm a little bossy, because you have to be as a CEO. You have to know your numbers. Your staff will. I'm not saying I have pushy staff and people are good or bad, but just like anybody, they will try to get as far as they can, or push you to your limits if you allow them, and you just have to nicely push back. But sometimes you don't even have to be nice. You're like, okay, this has got to be done, and this is the way it's going to be done. But yeah, I'm definitely the CEO now. I have great interaction with my staff. They know I'm tough. They also know I'm understanding of that we're human and we do make mistakes, and I'm not going to eat them like they think I will. But yeah, I'm definitely the CEO, and the city has seen a lot of things come out of me remodeling and just revamping my whole business. They reached out to me to head up the downtown Business Owners Association. So I have a nonprofit now that works with the city. Like I didn't already have enough to do, but it's all good.
But this is the thing as the CEO now, is you get to choose what you spend your time on, and you love connecting with people. You love building communities. This is the part you love. And whilst you probably thought, actually, let me ask you, what did you think you loved right at the beginning? Like if I could have said to you 18 months ago, Stephanie, if you could do anything in the business, what would it be?
I thought I loved serving the customers, and I still do, but I like, being able to get on the phone and say, I need A, B, C, and D. This is how it needs to go. Handle it and get back to me.
And now that
delegation is fantastic.
But it hasn't always been smooth sailing. It did take you a bit of time. You worked through the hiring guide and ended up with some fantastic people. But the fact that the city has brought you on board to head this organisation, and I'm pretty sure I saw on Facebook that there might be a new, somewhat retail venture opening up right next door.
Yes, there is. We are looking to build a bistro next door to our property to further the downtown development. So that's a project that's underway now. My building is in current the property that I purchased was condemned, so it's in demolition mode. And tomorrow I'm hoping to get the drawings for our new restaurant back. So we're working on that.
Do you think you would have ever seen yourself here in 18 months ago, given that you thought it was 5 years to be profitable?
No. And sometimes, even before we did the restaurant, the property just came up, and I'm like, Doug, wouldn't that be a great place for a restaurant? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. But then I'm like, backing up and crunching the numbers and thinking, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it. And he's like, let's do it. So I mean, he pushed me to together to decide that, hey, it's okay, let's try it, let's invest in this town and get it done. But no, I would not have thought that I would have wanted to do any more than just stay in my little realm there. But there's so many more things. Even with that restaurant, I don't plan to, yes, I will be the CEO there for a while, but I've already told the of course, I would never think of opening it after I've worked with you, knowing all the work that goes into owning a business without having my plan in order before we open up. So I already have my cook and my store manager and all that stuff lined up, even though we're probably another 9 to 12 months out from being open. But I still went ahead and got all of that in order ahead of time because I don't want to fall flat on my face when I open the business up. But I I work with them, and I don't know. Doc is just really supportive. I was afraid to do it, and he's like, "Let's do it, girl." I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." So I'm giving them 5 years. That's what I told him. I said, "You have 5 years with me. I will guide you. I will teach you. I will fuss at you. We will get it done. But when 5 years is over, my plan is to retire and travel and do, as you just said, what I want to do."
So she said 5 years, guys. I wonder if she actually means 2.
That could be true.
What do you wish somebody, because how long were you open for before you did scale your store?
I was open for probably about a year and a half to 2 years.
Okay. What do you wish someone would have said to you right back at the beginning? Like when you first opened and you were saying 5 years. I have to admit, if someone told me it was 5 years to be profitable, I would never open a business.
I wish that somebody would have said, hey, you can get a coach that says that would teach you the things that you don't know. As you say, you don't know what you don't know until you work with somebody else who does. I mean, everybody, I don't care how big or small your business is, you can benefit from the services of a coach, even if it's just a tweak, a good thing. And if you, like me, green, don't have a clue, just look how far you can come.
And look how far you have come. I want you to share, because I'm very lucky to be able to be friends with you on Facebook and I can see all the fantastic things that you're doing. I want you to share maybe 1 or 2 of those amazing strategies that you used during COVID. And yes, you did hustle, but you were in complete lockdown, so you couldn't even open. But yet you sent me through a screenshot that said it was a message from Shopify saying that your conversion rate was 10.4% and you were in the top 1% of Shopify stores. And let's be fair, your Shopify store, it's a bit basic.
Very basic, yes. Well, you know, we hate hustle. We work. We don't hustle, we work. And that's exactly what we did. We worked our butts off. I mean, just sitting down, me and my manager and my marketing person, because by this time my salesperson is not willing to be out in the COVID. And I understand that because she is older and more predisposed to things. And so by this time it was just us. And so we were just like, okay, we cannot just shut this business down and sit on our laurels, or no one will have any money. That's not going to happen. And if Gigi's and Doc's is out of sight for any length of time, then we will be forgotten, because there's too many online things that are easy for people to go and get what they need. So we just put our heads together and we started trying just a lot of different things. You and I both hate free shipping. I hate it. It kills you. But we were like, you know what the heck, let's suck it up and do it for a month or whatever. But when we decided to do those things, we put set time limits on what we were going to try, and then we would go back and reevaluate if it was working or not. We knew, yes, let's draw them in with the free shipping. We did in-store pickup. We did in-town delivery. Nobody else in this area was offering home delivery within the county. We did that
Wow.
for free. We still do that, but we don't do it for free. But I mean, it's a nominal fee, but it's a great service. And some of our customers still take us up on that because it's just convenient. We have, as my marketing person says, we have made it as easy as possible for people to click and shop.
For people to give you money.
That's right. Yeah. So I mean, we tried comment sold, which works wonderful for us. We
Comment
did
sold.
some live sales prior to that on Facebook. One week we did so many sales. We were in there like 10 o'clock every night trying to send the invoices out, and we were like, no, we cannot do this any longer. And that's when we switched to comment
I think
sold.
I sent you a message because you were like so
Yes.
busy. I was like, you have to try comment sold, which, guys, if you're listening, it only works in US dollars at the moment, but it basically tracks all those Facebook live sales that you do, and it helps you with all the invoicing and stuff like that. So I'm glad that the nominal fee that cost meant you didn't have to work till 10 p.m. But this is what the CEO does, right? You could have just said, bugger off, Sal, whatever. Instead, you paid the, I don't know, what is it, $29, $39. So you didn't have to stay back till 10 o'clock.
Right.
Whereas 18 months ago, I reckon you would have just stayed back till 10 o'clock.
Right. Because I was in the mindset, oh, that's too much money to pay. And then they're taking a percentage of this. No, it is so worth the money because time is money. Just do it, people. Pay the money and go on about your business. It's worth it.
Just before we got on, you said all your kids are growing up. Oh, actually, do I remember having the conversation with making them pay rent?
Yes. And they did. And they do.
Just quickly. So you've got grown up kids. I remember that in the conversation as well. You didn't take that very well when I told you to do that, did you?
No, because it's hard. I mean, when you love your kids and they love you and they're doing things for you and they're young, and our area is not of high socioeconomic area here, where it's not easy for them to find a good paying job. So, and housing is expensive, and it was hard for me to say it's time to pay rent. But then you're like, I'm working my butt off, you're leaving all these dirty dishes in my sink, you're using my laundry. No, pay rent, I'm done.
And they did, and that's the thing.
They did.
Just like your customers did. The customers didn't pay rent, but your customers were prepared to spend money. But I think for you, I remember I told you one week, because you were saying, I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired, I haven't been able to implement anything because I'm picking up after the boys. And I was like, how old are these boys? And you're like, 23 or something. You're what? Picking up after them? What the heck? And there's 4 of them. So I was like, okay, no. Between all of them, you could afford a cleaner. So they either have to do it themselves, or they put in $10 or $15 and you get a cleaner.
Yeah.
And that freed up, all of a sudden, it was like,
That's right. I have plenty of time to focus on what I need.
Yes. So you have one of your kids at home sick at the moment. Tell us what's happening, because he is home with COVID, which I'm guessing as a responsible citizen means you aren't going anywhere anytime.
That's right. We've been on lockdown here, and bless his heart, we love him, but we tease him and tell him we feed him like a prisoner, because we have a little tray set up outside his bedroom door, and that's where we put his food, and whatever he needs, he'll call us and say, I need this or I need that. And, we take care of it, knock on the door, here's your stuff. But yeah, I'm at home quarantined, but I have such good employees. I just send them off to work, and I'm like, sorry, I can't come in because I have to take care of my son. And I'm like, okay, we can brainstorm. We do some video chat sessions sometimes, or we just get on the phone in a group text or a call and say, hey, this is what we're doing for this week. Maybe like tonight we had a live plan, but I couldn't show up. And they're going, well, I really don't want to do live. I'm like, no, you may not, but we said we're going to show up on Thursday night, and we're going to show up on Thursday night. So let's just do a shortened live, because our lives are like an hour and a half generally when we do them. So I'm like, just pull 10 items and do a 30-minute live tonight. It'll be okay. And that's what happened. So it's just, I'm staying home and I'm working it out from here.
And have your sales dropped because you're not there?
Heck no.
Guys, you should see the face. I'm going to have to screenshot the face if you're not watching the video. She's like, how dare you say something like that?
No, if anything, I mean, they increase just because I'm like, okay, my marketing person is shooting messages out on Facebook. I'm shooting messages out. I'm doing it. My friends, know what's going on that are here. So no, nothing has slowed down because we're all like, okay, we need $200 more to meet our goal for the month, because that's the kind of employees that I hired. It is really all about the staff that you have.
Yeah.
And what you expect out of them.
Yeah. But you can't work out the staff you need until you work out the store you want.
That's true.
Yeah. Because imagine the staff you had 18 months ago were very, very different to the beautiful team that you have now.
Yes, they were. And I mean, you always have growing pains when you hire staff, but don't feel guilty if they don't work out for you, because they are here in the US in the first 90 days, you're figuring them out and they're figuring you out. So if they don't work for you, please don't waste your time. Just let them go.
I think don't you? I think quite often what do they say? Hire slow, fire fast. And I am very much of the same mindset. You can usually tell pretty quickly whether somebody is the right fit. And I do believe that you can train anyone to do just about anything, but if they aren't the right cultural fit, then they need to go.
Right. We're looking at my marketing person that helps me do the lives is going back to college now. So, and that's like 2.5 hours away. And we are looking at possibly a new employee, but that's one of the first things we said. They have to fit our ethics. They have to fit our business role model. It's not just like you can, gather all the applications. You have to put them behind the camera to see if they can interact with the people, if they can interact with me, because that's one of the comments we get when we do our lives from our customers. Oh, I love how y'all just, interact, because sometimes we agree to disagree, and that's okay. But hiring the best staff that fits with your business model, your personality, and the people that work together as a team really makes the difference.
What is like one piece of advice you wish everybody knew? Because I feel so grateful that, and I know that word gets overused, but I do feel so grateful that I get to see people's journeys. And, lots of people will do courses, and there's always this small percentage of people that absolutely knock it out of the park. And it doesn't mean that the information that they received is bad. It's just that some people actually focus and implement it. And, they don't get waylaid. They don't decide that this is not for them. They just actually take the information, they put it in place, and they end up in a place like where you are. So what's kind of one piece of advice that you feel like you need to, I can almost imagine Stephanie walking down the main street giving people advice. So what would you, she probably has already done this. What would you say to those business owners?
Well, first off, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. You need to invest in yourself, whether that is learning things that you don't know or hiring somebody to do things that you don't know. Don't be afraid to do that. Believe in yourself, and hire out the things that you can't do. If you can't do it, don't waste your time. I'm not good. I am not good at technology. I would not be a good marketing person. That is why I hired one. And everybody can always use some type of education to learn a little bit more. I know you only wanted one, but sorry, I talked too much.
That's okay. I just laugh. What we have to keep in mind, guys, is, by all, I don't try and blow hot wind up people's backsides, but your Shopify website is functional, we'll call it.
It is functional. It is not great. And it is a continual work in progress. But I'll tell you my weaknesses now. My marketing and my website are my weaknesses. I was just looking at my numbers. We are blowing it out of the water everywhere else. And I'm not doing enough marketing. Can you believe what we would be doing if I was doing real marketing? Yeah.
You need to focus.
Yes, I do. And that's my next step. But you have to give yourself a little bit of grace too. You can't do everything all at once. It's little pieces of the puzzle to get to where you need to go. You got to have a plan or you're never going anywhere. If you don't know what your plan is, you will not get to your end mark.
That is so important. I don't know if we did it right back then, but what we've made people do now at the beginning of Scale Your Store, there's like a pre-module, and we actually get them to write down what do they want to achieve in like the next 90 days. Because if you don't know what that is, we go through all of the 5 pillars and we give you all this information and strategies. But like you said, you can't be doing 50 things at once because nothing gets done. You go back to where you were 18 months ago. Now you're like, okay, we need to focus on marketing. You've got the numbers there. That's going to be your next focus. How are we going to do it? Get the team together, work on those strategies. And I did have to laugh when you're talking about the Facebook Lives though, because I'm pretty sure I saw you guys in pajamas the other day.
Probably. It's all good.
But I think at this, and I think, again, if I'd told you 18 months ago that you would be on video in your pajamas, you would have just said, I don't think so. But COVID has been a very different experience for all of us. And I think that that's where you guys have excelled so well, is just that relatability. Because now that you are bringing in the right type of customers, you know who those people are. You don't want somebody who, I remember you saying that, someone just argued with me about a $5 pair of flip-flops. They tried to haggle on a $5 pair of flip-flops. I don't even expect you have the $5 flip-flops anymore. But now that you know who those people are and you know what they understand, talking to them seems so much easier. And you don't, I'm sure you said something about, I don't want to feel fake. I'm sure I remember you saying something like that, and you are so far from that, but yet you've grown this amazing business. You have a team that stands by you who are so invested in the vision. You've got, you're the chair of the Chamber of Commerce. You've got a new restaurant coming up, and all of that because you actually stepped up.
Right. I mean, I am proud of the work that I have done. It has been hard, and you're in my head, a lot going, know your numbers, get your shit together, okay? I can hear you saying that. So, I mean, I'm thankful for everything, even when I get myself chewed out for not doing whatever I was supposed to do. I'm thankful for all of those things because it's brought me to where I am now, and I wouldn't be here if it hadn't been some tough love.
What's we're just going to finish up because I feel like there's so many questions I want to ask you, but what is the one thing that you feel like is your biggest accomplishment?
Going from being overworked and frazzled, not knowing which direction I was headed in, to really having a plan and being the CEO of my company.
I did not pay her to say that, guys.
Nope.
I am just in awe of all the things you've done. Like I said, it's such an honor to have you here, because to see the growth that you've had, and just to be fair, it's not just you, the change that you have had on an entire community, which right back at the start, that was the whole reason for you opening the shop, was you wanted to change the community. And now seeing you realize it, and it hasn't taken 5 years, and now you've got all these new ways that you can build an even bigger and even better community. That's leadership. You are just the embodiment of leadership. So congratulations.
Thank you. I'm proud. I have worked really hard, and I mean, sometimes it is hard for us to, we should be humble, but there are times when we just need to claim it, and I'm going to claim it because I worked hard to get it.
Yeah, you have. So if people want to check out a little bit more about Gigi's and Docs, where can they find you? And no comments on the website. Thank you very much.
Gigi's and Docs at .com.
And actually, yeah. I think they're much better off going and hanging out with you on Facebook, because you guys are much more active there.
It's more fun. I even ask my customers, I'm like, okay, I can be real professional if I need to be. They're like, no, just be yourself. That's more fun.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey, Stephanie. I really hope that some people who are listening today can take even just one little tiny piece of information and go, look, if she can do it in a town of 7,000 people, and in 18 months she can just blow it out of the park, I can do it as well. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You can find all of the show notes over at selinaknight.com. If you found something that you heard today particularly useful, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher. And of course, feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit by listening to it. Want more retail biz strategies? You can watch the Bringing Business to Retail TV show, where each week I'll answer a question or provide you with a simple, actionable retail biz strategy that you can implement in your business right away. If you have a question or a guest, I'd love to hear from you. Drop my team an email at podcast@selinaknight.com, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week.